the cat's out of the bag because you're listening to America's most ferocious podcast, The Pod People. I'm Meowtees Van Possum.
I'm Ben Sheets, and I'm the cat man. Skidabooda booda bop. Skidabooda booda bop.
Hard to follow up. But hi there. You can call me the General, because I came here on cosmic radiation light beam sparkles.
Octagon.
And I am the most powerful space knight in all the galaxy.
Powerful.
You'll love to see it.
Oh, we're back with another dose of insanity. 2022, the year of the squeakquel, continues. Ben, this was your pick, and you have chosen not a direct sequel, but a spiritual sequel slash takes place in the same sort of universe.
The Wiselyverse.
The Wiselyverse. You have chosen for us a fantastically insane Hong Kong action horror called The Cat, which was directed by Ngai Choi Lam, who did The Seventh Curse, which we talked about around Thanksgiving. So we're back to the Wiselyverse after not being away for too long.
We had to go back.
We needed to go back.
We had to.
Truly.
We needed to.
This was a must-see.
Yes.
I adore Ricky O, and I loved Seventh Curse just as much, if not more. So I knew this was going to be my first pick for the Squeakquel verse.
Yeah, this is a film that Ngai Choi Lam did the same year as Ricky O, and after this, he pieced out of movies, right?
Yep.
This was his last film, but he didn't die.
No, he didn't. He was just like, I can't top this.
Yeah,
Well, when
he
you-
rode off into the fucking sunset, deservedly.
When you've achieved perfection, you know when to walk away on top.
You do.
Perfection.
Yeah, it's very good.
I don't quite know where to begin with this movie. It's fucking weird.
Might be the best thing I've ever seen.
The Wisely series are a series of books, sort of like a Flash Gordon or Hardy Boys kind of deal, where Wisely tells stories of crazy shenanigans that he's gotten into. In The Seventh Curse, Wisely was played by Chow Yun-fat, but he's not back reprising his role in this one. Instead, they got an actor whose real name appears to be Wise Lee. So that's pretty special.
It's pretty rad.
Awesome.
that they finagled that.
I like to imagine that his name wasn't originally that, but he changed
He
it.
legally changed his name.
He played Wisely, and he was just so proud that he was like, this is my existence now.
Well, in The Seventh Curse, Wisely is kind of like a secondary character. He's not the protagonist, but in this he plays a much more central role. He is the lead investigator of whatever the fuck is going on here. I would describe this movie as a bizarre mix of like Terminator, The Thing, the 80s remake of The Blob meets like
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
E.T. kind
Starman.
of. Starman.
Starman. With a big old cat.
Yeah, well, much like The Seventh Curse, it's just like throwing all these influences into a fucking blender and letting it rip.
But going all in on all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
If this movie does anything, it goes all in, all the time.
Well,
There's so much happening in this film. We're not going to be able to break it all down, I don't think.
no, and I mean
Every
I think
shot is just a work of genius.
it's interesting because I feel like this movie is like slower than The Seventh Curse. it's maybe not quite as high octane, where that movie is just like sort of incessantly bonkers.
I think when this movie gets bonkers, it gets more bonkers.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it has higher highs than The Seventh Curse, but is maybe less consistent in terms of like how
I would
Seventh
say
Curse.
what it is the back half of this film is way more high octane than Seventh Curse even gets.
Yeah, sure.
But the front half is a little slower to build up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some detectiving that goes on in the front half of this movie that I don't know if I would describe as necessarily interesting, but man, there's some fucking crazy shit in this movie.
Yeah, like every sequence in The Seventh Curse has at least one weird thing in it. Everyone. The car where he like jacks up the car using exhaust, the weird pool sequence, his house. Every scene has some weird shit going on, like where you're just super confused or just having an amazing time. And here, like you said, the front half that does have some detectiving, but anytime something is introduced, it is so left field. Once you get a through line in Seventh Curse, you know what it is, kind of. It's like an Indiana Jones thing, you know, like. But here, like,
Takes a long time to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, we were primed thinking, like, okay, well, we saw the Wisely guy in the previous thing. Like, I was definitely thinking it was going to be another Indiana Jones thing. I was very wrong.
No.
Yeah, well, the way it's set up is, Wisely is writing into a book or a journal.
He's writing one of his novels, one of his sagas.
And that framing mechanism is like him retelling how the story went down.
He's our narrator. Very noir.
So it kind of builds those characters slowly in a way that feels a little mysterious, I guess. We see the cat and the alien girl kind of
surprise
early on.
Yeah.
It's aliens.
It's a long time before we figure out that they're aliens, though.
Well, no, 15 or 20 minutes in, we
start
see
referring to
her
like star
levitating
people
onto the.
Well, the levitating
okay,
thing,
sure.
like the levitating thing, wasn't really a point for me because, like, I was thinking, like, okay, witches. She has a black cat with her. Like, it's very Sabrina-y. Witches and black cats, that's a deal, or whatever. And I was wrong. I was very wrong. But
nope, it's aliens.
Yeah, it doesn't say aliens outright, but like a scene or two after it does. Before they get attacked by like a Briotas from Bloodborne, like they're talking about like the star people. They do mention it in their own, like the two aliens talking to each other.
That's true. Well, the one alien lady and the cat, who's also an alien, who I guess is the general.
And Errol.
And yes, the homeless seeming man.
Yeah, it was Errol and the girl. They were talking about star people or some shit.
Yeah, but I mean, in kind of a way that's like, okay, they're talking about star people, so aliens, but you don't really know what the fuck the deal is. And then they get attacked by a giant, fleshy, electrified mushroom, and it's like, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
I love how they introduce that because Errol like hops down from like the ceiling onto a guy with a big cloak.
Yeah, onto
Puts in a bag.
They're heisting something from this museum, and one of the guards comes in and catches the girl and the cat, and then Errol just hops down from the ceiling, punches the guy, and then proceeds to bundle him up into a huge sack and just throw him under the table. Doesn't even take him with him. He just puts the bag under the table.
That's also how I play the Hitman games. So
I mean, there definitely is some of that kind of. Is
that a non-violent run? Yeah. I mean, he's a good guy. We find out.
I mean, I guess.
To be fair, like, without context, if you want to keep your audience guessing on whether they're good people or not, like, having them put someone in a bag is, like, nefarious, but, actually, like, kind of a nice thing to do, I guess. It's better than killing him.
I mean, if he was just going to leave him under the table, he could have just, like, put his unconscious body under the table, right? Like, why did he have to bundle him up in the big sack?
Because he's an alien. He doesn't think the same way we do.
That's true. They must come from a very sack-centric alien society. Mm-hmm. But it's okay. There's not enough time to think about that.
He comes from a kangaroo planet.
Because then a homeless man who we saw get filled up with a bunch of beans.
The chili man.
He shows up and turns into a big space mushroom.
That effect is awesome.
I mean, yeah. If I had heard you say that to me, before seeing this movie, I would have had a very different image in my mind. A homeless chili man and turns into a giant mushroom. Like, what does that actually look like? What does that look like as we describe it? It is cooler. It's like Thing level like effects at times.
It is cooler than we describe it, but in that regard, I don't know how to accurately describe it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
because it is just a big electrified space mushroom.
It's a burrito.
But it's like a Lovecraftian.
It's got eyeballs and shit in it, like
Thing-esque, like body
and
horror,
weird tendrils in the wrong places.
Wet,
yeah,
sort of Carpenter-esque monster.
Yeah, it's extremely cool, and also it has like electricity running through it that looks pretty good. Yeah, there's the electric effects in this movie are really good. There's a bunch of them too, and they're great. And those are not easy to do in that era because I'm pretty sure they were hand drawn on the film, and they don't look it. God, there's just so fucking much in that scene. But yeah, it's like it really does. It really does look like a Breedis from Bloodborne. So I guess look that up. It's crazy because that is what happens. Like those are the events that you described. It is, you know, we get this fucking dope sewer shot. The whole sewer set looked really good. I love all the like the weird papers and bits of garbage in the water. Like the lighting is just superb. And then we see this like homeless man corpse, and it gets filled with
beans,
with chili,
with baked beans.
Yeah, it's like a meaty chili bean time, and he gets filled with that, and the corpse sits up, and then we cut back to our aliens doing the heist that we talked about, putting a guy in a bag, and then they get attacked by the homeless man, and then he turns into a fucking mushroom thing, a Breedis monster, and it's amazing.
And then they just jump out the window and run away, and then
I mean, I would too.
We get for a very dramatic tonal shift where the scene right after that is the alien girl seemingly on a date with the cat, because that's the energy that it gives, because she's like giggling and skipping and like she keeps looking back over her shoulder at the cat. Yeah, very tee-hee. And the cat is like walking around, and then she starts like levitating and jumping like on and off of like this radio antenna. And then there's like a shot of the cat.
It's pretty well done too.
On the end.
Well, it is. There's so much contrast in the sequence, right, between good and not good in the best way.
I guess
like her flying around is pretty solid. Like the wire work is pretty good.
From a technical perspective, yes, but like what's actually happening in that scene, I would not describe as good.
No, I wouldn't either.
It's extremely silly.
It is.
It's very, very
unbelievably
silly.
So. Yes, but yeah, and then my favorite shot is the camera like pans to her. Pans up and left to her, like jumping up and down in the air, or kind of floating up and down in the air, like on wires. And then the camera pans back down, but sort of fade transitions over to the cat. And the music is all like sappy, and like it pans down to the cat, and then it kind of pans back up again, and then the shot ends. It's really awkward.
It's like they reverse the shot. It pans over, and then it reverses back, and it goes back to her. So it's like she jumps down in front of the cat and then back up. It's very weirdly cut. And again, the way that it's edited and the music and like the way she's acting, it's a very like romantic kind of vibe. Like she's like on a first date with this cat, this absolutely beautiful cat that I am afraid was mildly abused during the production of this film, because the cat is like the action star of this movie.
It was tossed around a little bit.
There's so many shots of that was very obviously somebody just throwing the cat from off camera.
Yeah, I really want to know. It's going to drastically change how I feel about this film. You know what I mean? Like, and I really want to believe. But you know, here's the thing, right? Like The Thing, at the same time, The Thing was put on trial for like animal cruelty, and they had to bring in the puppetry to show that like the dogs weren't hurt.
Sure.
And all of the dog mutilation stuff was puppetry and fake.
Yeah, but that's not quite the same here, where we're seeing very obviously the cat just like being thrown around.
Maybe they hired an expert cat hooker.
I feel like the producers heard that cats always land on their feet, and they were like, "Oh, word!"
Like, no. Yeah, okay, we can just throw this cat around; it'll always land on its feet.
Oh no. You're probably right.
Well, and I mean,
It's
there's
so hard to say,
There's a
though.
particular shot at the end of the junkyard fight, which we'll talk about in a moment. But like, just while we're on the subject of whether or not this cat was mistreated, like, there's a shot where like Wisely like traps the cat by like slamming its tail in the trunk of his car.
Yeah, but they had a fake tail, and like
They
they, had
had
a cat.
a- they
They have
had
a cat without a tail too, so they just put the fake tail on the cat.
Correct, but there's a shot of what is definitely the live real cat that has its tail restrained and it's like thrashing around. It's a short shot, but the cat does not look like it's having a good time.
Yeah.
So, you know, just based off of that and how often they're throwing the cat around, I don't know. I mean,
I hope not.
this is in Hong Kong. Something tells me that in Hong Kong in the 90s they didn't have the same regulations about like mistreating animals on the sets of films.
Yeah.
My
The
favorite
regulations are probably a little bit looser.
My favorite shot in the whole movie of the cat being pissed off is probably it sitting in the pile of glitter, just looking
Oh my
so
God.
mad.
Man, that's another thing I feel bad for that cat, because like there's no way they were able to clean all that glitter off, and cats bathe themselves by licking their fur. So that cat was probably like ingesting a fair amount of glitter after that. Just
Sparkly shits.
sparkly shits, you know, hopefully it didn't do any damage to its intestinal tract. But man, this cat is a star. Somebody should give this cat an Oscar, because the cat is by far the best actor and best performance in the film, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know, we have a lot of use of heavy weaponry in this movie.
Yes.
But like, I will say the cat has some incredible hand-to-hand combat skills. We see an incredible cat suplex.
Yeah, well, let's just go ahead and talk about the cat-dog fight scene.
I think we need to lead into it though.
Okay.
So the cat has been giving Wisely some trouble. He's trying to hunt them down. They find a cat hair on the scene. There's an earlier moment where he saw the cat get away, I think.
Well, he encounters the woman and the cat in like the abandoned apartment, and they like
So making
Errol
a
like
ton of noise.
bonks him over the head.
Yeah, and then
So-
when he goes back to the place, there's like guts there or whatever, and he's like, "What is this?
Yeah.
Is this did they like disembowel a child? Like, what the fuck is happening here?" So he thinks they're the bad guys, and he's hunting them down. So what does he do? Well, he thinks, "Damn, there's a cat. So I better go get the best goddamn dog the world has to offer to fight this cat."
The goodest of boys.
So he goes to the dog man.
Yes.
And we know he's the dog man because we approach his dog mansion and see him walk down the stairs where there's a tree like going like up next to the banister, and hanging from it are just giant ass dog bones. He's got like a golden silk robe that has like two dogs like pictured on it, and he's surrounded by dogs.
like by like 30 of them.
All in
Yeah.
one shot. So many dogs. I
believe they-
maybe six,
but I
like,
believe they
yeah,
just-
it's a lot of dogs.
It's way more than 6. It is maybe not 30, but it's definitely
like a
more than it's
dozen.
definitely more than 10.
It's a lot of dogs.
But I believe they just describe this man as a pet enthusiast, which is putting it
I
extremely
don't like
mildly.
that. I also don't like that term. I don't
just
like
likes heavy petting.
weird implications. Don't like it.
But yeah, he gets the dog, right? And then
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he gets the dog.
They know that this cat and lady are trying to steal this artifact.
They keep calling them octagons, but they're not octagons.
Not at all,
They're not
no.
at all. Like, I struggle to even think of that as just like a mistranslation in the subtitles. It's like, what the fuck? Like, they're like big, wrinkly space rocks.
Yeah.
They're not octagonal in the slightest.
Here's my thought, right? This movie was really roughly translated. The subtitles from time to time got fucking nutty.
I mean, there were some typos for sure.
I want a dog with the strongest behavior. Like shit like that, dude. Like, so here's my thought.
I also want a dog with the strongest behavior.
Right? It's like the 8th stone.
But there's 2 of them. They have to get both octagons.
We see 2. Maybe there are more.
But they're called the same 2 octagons. So how are 2 of the artifacts both the 8th stone?
Well, it's not that then.
It's not that.
It's not that. It must be like maybe there's an octagon inside of the rock.
Maybe, but we never see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have to get the octagons.
Yep. And so they're watching.
They're doing a stakeout, a sting.
Yeah, they're watching this closely because before they had tried to steal it, but the mushroom monster came in.
Right.
And they weren't able to get it successfully. So they knew they were coming because they checked the CCTVs and they saw the cat.
Right.
So they were staking it out with CCTVs, watching them closely, watching the artifact closely, and suddenly the cat appears.
Just the cat this time, no lady.
So they sprint out of the room to try to get the cat. And they're Wisely's about to open the door, and they stop him, and they're like, "Hold up, you gotta be quiet." And so he stops and takes off his glasses.
Takes off his glasses so he can listen at the door.
Yep.
Got to make your sight as bad as possible so you can hear extra good.
That's Daredevil's whole deal.
Yeah.
That is true. That's true. Can't argue with that. But
That's just comic science.
they sick the dog on the cat, and thus begins a probably 5-6 minute fight scene.
I think it's longer than the final encounter.
That is literally no people involved. It's just a fight scene between this cat and this dog.
No, but not just this cat and this dog, right? Like, it is a powerful alien general in the form of a cat, and the best dog that the best dog the world has to offer. This is the dog man's dog, right? Like, this dog was raised at Dog Mansion, all right?
With the strongest behavior.
Yeah, with the strongest behavior. This dog is the fucking best. But the cat, it's a space general.
It's a space general. Much
That's
too
the fight.
powerful, yeah.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Normally, this is the part where, like, the fight scene couldn't meet up to those standards. It goes above and fucking beyond.
It's wild.
It's insane.
Conceptually, just like having a full-on like action fight sequence between a cat and a dog, like that just as a premise is fucking wild, and the way that they execute it is just crazy.
They try every effect in the 80s monster playbook for that fight. Like,
They have some awesome
puppetry, stop motion, compositing,
throwing the cat and dog around,
electrical effects, fire, wire work with the puppetry, and just live animals as well.
Yeah, and even within the set piece, there's a lot of cool elements of the environment that they use as pieces of the action.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's set in a junkyard, and at one point, there's like a steam valve that the cat determining.
Because the cat's like pinned.
Yeah, very focused, turns on.
Yeah, the dog has it by like its tail, and it's like pulling it away, and the cat like reaches out and hits the valve, and it blasts steam into the dog's face. There's the part where the cat gets into like an old broken down car and uses like the windshield wipers to like fend the dog off. And then, of course, there's the part where he lures the dog into the electricity trap because there's like a generator or something. And the cat like activates it by like sticking its tail into it, and it like gets charged up, and then the dog runs at it, and the cat at the last second jumps out of the way.
It's like a bull run type of situation.
Well, the cat doesn't really jump out of the way. That's like it ducking to the side. The cat flies straight up into the air.
Yes. The cat flies straight up into the air.
Yeah.
And the dog crashes through the boards and into the generator or whatever.
Incredible.
And, they do a very Home Alone-esque sequence where the dog is being electrocuted. You can like see its skeleton, and it like falls over, and we're like, oh well, they killed the dog.
Damn.
But no, then the dog gets up.
Best boy.
And they have like an anime standoff where they like start running at each other, and the cat jumps, and you see like it cuts to a shot of like its claws coming out, and it like flashes past the dog and like cuts it on the way. It's like it was
like
just
samurai film.
It's just like what they did in the Guyver that we talked about last week.
Yep.
And then they end the fight by the cat literally suplexing the dog.
Incredible.
Hey, what was that line? What's that line in Guyver Dark Hero?
It'll do to you just fine.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know what that armor's going to do to you. It'll do to you just fine.
And that cat does do to that dog just fine.
Does just fine. And then we get to rush to the dog ER, and see the dog has lived. They have
Yes.
the doctor come out, and we know for sure the dog is still alive. I really appreciate
He
it.
says, yeah, he'll be just fine.
Not even an alien cat suplex can kill this good boy.
Not even the general.
Not even the general.
That whole sequence was just incredibly creatively done.
One of the
Like,
most insane things I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
Yeah. You know,
I struggle to think of something more bonkers.
I mean, since we watched it, I have just been sitting here trying to think of what movies have I seen where, like, I can at least literally begin to describe them. This is really hard in all the best ways. Like, I'm just so stumped. It rules. It's such a goofy fucking film, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And just back to back to back. Ah. Just like Seventh Curse and Ricky O, you know? I'm so happy. This is just like this perfect trilogy of what the fuck am I watching, you know, movies.
Yeah. Well, beyond the cat and the lady being aliens, there's also villainous aliens. And
Yes.
the mushroom,
The mushroom.
is
The mushroom.
is that we see in another sequence with the villainous mushroom. You know, it busts into like a headquarters of like a.
well, it's no the cops.
The cops hunt it down.
Wisely's detective friend takes some of the cops and goes to like the old abandoned house where Wisely saw the cat and the lady, where they knocked him out, and then they get attacked by the space mushroom that just turns the room into like a big fleshy spider web and dissolves all of these cops.
So it can,
It
like,
was just incredible.
it's one of the coolest fucking sequences. Like it like the flesh arms just sort of come out of the wall in places.
It covers
and it
the whole
grabs them.
room. It becomes like a monster room.
Yeah,
essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, monster room. And again, like the tendrils are really fucking cool, and they try everything, and it all looks awesome.
Rip some dude's face off.
Yeah, rips a
Yeah.
guy's arms off. Like that's the best part. Is like the very end. Like the last guy standing tries to run away, and he gets gooed at the feet, and then he gets flesh gooed on either hand when he's trying to pull himself out of the door. And then the beast finally comes up in the middle and it hits him and it rips his arms off and makes him fly into the other wall. And then the flesh comes down from the ceiling and it goes into his mouth. And it's sick. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I love how they follow that whole sequence up with the cops standing there and not opening their mouths but talking to each other
Psychically.
You know,
The weird thing about that though is it's like, okay, so the alien mushroom took over all of these cops, but for the rest of the movie it's only just the main one. What happened to the rest of those guys? They never show up again.
Yeah, they do like a whole like secret agent alien squad thing where they speak to each other telepathically about their next plan.
Yeah, just in that one scene, and one
after
of
that
them's
scene-
like, we have to go get guns. But then it's just, and I mean, the scene where the dude goes to get the guns is pretty fucking great
very
too.
Terminator.
Yeah, he goes to like a illegal arms dealer. And
Yeah,
they-
the movie just becomes Terminator for a little bit.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
absolutely does. But what happened to the rest of the alien cops? We never see them.
They just
we never see them
re-gooed.
again.
Yeah, they just re-gooed. Maybe they're preparing the facility or something. But yeah, like it is kind of because
What
like
facility?
we're just getting it ready for the next big flesh attack scene at the end.
That was at a restaurant.
I don't know, man. Maybe it was getting more bodies so I could get bigger. So I could go
Well,
to the
yeah,
restaurant.
maybe they decomposed back to their planet.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
so-
Yeah, who knows?
that is the thing that they do.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that sequence. I also love the sequence where he's buying the guns and weapons because the arms dealer is like carefully explaining all these different weapons in detail. And like one of them has like, it's like a huge handgun with like a fast loader on it. And they show this fast loader off by doing it
By
in
doing it in
slow-mo
slow
as
motion.
slowly as possible, just having him reload. And
My theory on that is
Your game theory.
my game theory on that is that the actor couldn't change mags quickly enough for the fast loader to be impressive in real time, so they put it into slow mo, so it makes it be like he reloads so fast that we had to put it into slow mo so you could even see it. You know. That's my game theory.
Yeah, I'm
but,
with it.
I like after that, like the alien cop tells him like, no, I need a gun that shoots more bullets faster. And so the arms dealer reaches into his coat and pulls out an AK-47. How is he keeping that in there? I don't know. But
Bugs Bunny shit.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny shit. And last but not least, they show him a big like barrel loaded shotgun.
But what do the subtitles call it? Loose bullets.
Loose bullets.
Yeah, this gun fires loose bullets.
I wonder
I've
if
never heard a
that's
shotgun called that before.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a
trying to say buckshot
a bad
or something.
translation.
Yeah.
For like having like pellets
Scatter
packed
shot.
into,
It's a shotgun.
Yeah. But
fires loose bullets.
the alien cop just kills all of them to take the guns. It's very much like a Terminator scene where they're like all shooting him, but he's not dying. There's one point where he reveals his alien eyes, but they're like wonky. They're like looking off in two different directions.
Well, because they're contacts.
Yeah, I don't
And
know
they
if
couldn't
that was
center them.
I don't know if that was intentional.
It was
or
so
not.
charming.
It's so
honestly.
funny. It's like he looks up, he's got like these big green alien eyes, but the pupils are like looking off in different directions. He just looks so
great.
fucking derpy. Like, did they? Was it supposed to be like that, or could they just
Honestly,
not
I
get
hope
contact
so.
centered? I don't know which one is funnier.
Yeah.
If they did that on purpose or if it was a mistake. Then we go to, I think this is what happens next. We cut to Wisely's mansion, where he's with his hot wife or whatever. There's a scene earlier where she like comes back from playing tennis or something,
And she's so
just,
sweaty.
like, immensely sweaty, and there's just like super close-up shots of like beads of sweat like on her arms and legs
An
like,
armpit.
and like dripping from her armpit. And it's supposed to be like sexual and erotic. It's like, damn, this bitch is just sweaty as hell. But Wisely is very into it. But anyway, so they're hanging out at their super big Wisely mansion, and he has the cat's tail because he cut it off in the junkyard. And after he took it to get analyzed by the professor or whatever, they're like, this tail is from a cat that has been dead for at least scores of years. And he's like, what the fuck? I saw that cat. It was alive. How has it been dead for scores of years? But then the cat and the alien lady show up, and they're like, hey, we're not bad,
And Errol,
actually.
dog, you keep forgetting about my boy Errol.
Because he always comes into the scene later. Every time, it's always first the lady and the cat. They show up, and then like 5 minutes into the scene, Errol just walks in. Tell me I'm wrong. That's how it always goes.
All right,
Honestly,
my
he's
turn.
a pretty useless character.
My
He does
turn for a game theory.
Okay.
That actor
Errol's
was like,
parking the car.
Errol's parking the cars. That's it. Yeah.
That's what
Errol's off parking the cars.
he's like. Okay, I'm gonna drop you off. I have to go find parking. So that's why he always
Hong
shows up
Kong,
late.
busy streets. We'll figure it out. We'll get you on the set.
But yeah, they're like, hey, we're aliens, but we're nice and good, and the cat is our general, and we're just trying to get back to our planet, but we can't because we have to kill the evil alien. I think once they call it the Star Killer, which
Yeah.
is a cool name, but they don't ever come back to that. And then the alien cop, we get a great scene of him gearing up with loading all of his many guns.
Every single bullet.
Bullet. Yeah, I was going to say it's like the Terminator, like the sequence of Terminator when he puts like the makeup under his eyes and he loads all his guns and he puts them on his belt. But like that's a really choppy sequence. They're trying to do that, but they show every bullet.
Yeah,
All of
he's like loading the shotgun, and he just keeps
One
loading
shell at a time.
bullets.
Yeah, we're gonna
like-
see put every bullet in this gun, aren't we? And we sure did. Yeah.
And then we see him load every magazine into like every other gun that he has, and like put every grenade on his vest. And then we get another Terminator scene where he attacks the house with his guns, and they try to fight back with Molotov cocktails,
Which they do set up. They do a good job of that. One of the previous scenes in his house.
early when he's hanging
People come
out
by.
when he's hanging out with his detective friend and the fat guy
Hmm.
who saw the cat the first time.
Yeah, and they say that vodka is the most potent wine.
Yes, it is. Vodka
The subtitles.
is
We're
indeed
clocking at the...
the most potent wine. Yeah, they just have like full bottles of Stoli, and they use them to make Molotov cocktails, even though like Stoli is not nearly alcoholic enough to burn.
Well, it's like you said it too. You're like that. You know, like, that's not like really gonna like do much. And I'm like, it's gonna be like gasoline.
Oh, well, yeah, that's how the movie treats it for sure.
Yeah.
They set the pool on fire with
Yeah,
the
the
Molotov
entire
cocktail.
like fucking mansion pool is just ablaze with like 4 bottles of like vodka. It's amazing.
That was incredible. Like the shot
Looks so good because the pool is already like lit with green lights.
Yeah.
Well, and he has like on his mantle, he has just like 30 bottles of vodka. Like wisely
Ready to roll.
Wisely be drinking. That man is an alcoholic.
He drinking and he reading.
He drinking.
Yes, so
that's
many
true.
books.
We didn't mention that the
are
walls
all
are just like
lined with books, not like bookshelves, just books.
no, just stacked books,
stacked
all
books.
around the room.
Just
Yeah,
an, like outrageous amount of books.
ran
They don't
out of
call this
shelves.
motherfucker dumbly.
No, they don't.
we see his house and we really see why they call him Wisely. My man be reading and my man be drinking.
They really should call him Drinky though. He's got a lot of fucking booze.
Drinkly.
Drinkly.
I love the sequence with the pool on fire because right after it's all thrown into the pool, we get this awesome shot where the Terminator villain is in like silhouette with like dual wielding machine guns in his hand with the fire in front of him.
It's a dope shot. Mm-hmm. I like in that scene too, we also get Errol's pointless sacrifice.
Pointless but
Yes.
incredible.
Well, they run up onto the roof and Errol inexplicably smashes 2 bottles of vodka over his head.
Yeah,
and
just
then,
baps himself in the head with vodka bottles.
and then lights himself on fire and jumps
No. He doesn't just light himself on fire. He grabs an electrical cable and rips it off the wall and like then fucking electrocutes himself into flame.
That's right,
And
that's
then leaps off of the balcony.
off the roof onto the Terminator guy and knocks them both into the pool.
And it's as cool as we're describing it.
But why did he do the thing?
Well, no, because the Terminator guy just gets back up out of the water. 'Cause
Immediately.
Yeah.
water is impervious to fire.
Right. Why did Errol do that? See, there's a reason I keep omitting Errol from
Look, man,
things
look,
because he is useless.
I'm telling you, the character keeps showing up late into scenes, and they oft him without real good explanation. Something was up with that actor, you know? Something was up there.
I mean, he was kind of an old man. Maybe he's just frail and like went to bed early.
I will say, in fairness, he's not really any less useless than the lady alien. I think they just have her around more because she's prettier than he is.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because in the next scene, they have kind of an exposition dump on the aliens themselves a little bit. And their excuse for Errol killing himself was like he decomposed his body to travel back to our home planet to be a great, commander?
Wait, that's what Errol did? I thought that's what they were saying they were trying to do so they could get home.
No, she was happy because she heard back from the star.
yeah, Errol
and-
lives.
I missed that.
Yeah. It was a really weird explanation.
Yeah.
But
He's swashbuckling because Errol flying.
the one other thing with Errol that I
Flynn.
did want to mention is before he killed himself in the house, Wisely asks him why they found intestines.
Oh yeah, why they found like cat intestines in like the the apartment they were staying in early in the movie.
So good, yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, I was trying to prolong the lifespan
Of the animal by studying the cat's bowels.
of the animal by studying the cat's bowels.
Researching
by
the cat's,
researching the cat's bowels. And then they immediately move on to something else without acknowledging that.
That's it. That's
at
all we
all.
get. Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does-
They were researching the cat's bowels. What?
Did they remove all the innards of the general?
To keep it alive?
To
Did
keep
they
him
get
alive?
a different cat and remove the innards of that to study it?
And they're just picking through it?
Fuck is going on? Why did they ever explain why their general is in the form of a cat?
Nope.
Oh no, wait, because they say that the cat's body is the weapon that can defeat the Star Killer.
Why?
That they don't explain.
So they don't explain it.
So they don't
Because I remember
explain
them
it,
saying,
no.
yeah, he is the weapon. He is ready. He is the most... specifically, he is the most powerful knight in the universe.
Yes.
Space Knight or something. It's wild.
They say something
I couldn't keep up
about
with this movie.
how like the cat was infused with the octagon or something like that.
Well, yeah, the cat's body is the weapon, but the way to activate it is it has to be irradiated by the octagon when the time is right. When is the time right? I don't know. It just kind of happens at one point.
I like to imagine that this octagon meteorite just like landed on a cat and infused with it, and then that was the reason why they needed another cat, because it's just part of the octagon now.
Yeah.
But this is just speculation. There's
bonkers.
nothing of that
But I mean,
nature is in the movie.
Nope.
The lady and Errol describe themselves as like knights who are like supposed to protect the general, but neither of them do any fighting in the whole movie. In fact, the lady mostly just stands around screaming every time something bad happens. It's like, y'all are the knights that are supposed to protect this cat general?
Because at one point where they're on the run from the monster and like the stairs collapse beneath Wise Lady is trying to get back up and she like offers a hand, but like we've seen this lady flying, right? She like offers a hand to lift him up and just kind of like grabs his hand and sets it back on the ledge.
Yeah, she
like, you can
takes
help
his
pull him
hand
up.
and puts it back on the ledge so he can pull himself up. She doesn't even like lift him up. And like, yeah, we just saw
What are the rules?
what are the rules?
What are the rules? Frankly, I don't care. I'm happy to be
There's
here.
only one scene in
I don't
which,
need rules.
There's
Just to be
only
very
one
clear.
scene in which she utilizes her flying powers, and it's when she's on a date with the cat.
Yep.
Which she's doing some weird little
Priorities, that's when it's
some
important.
little tippy toe dance. Some little tippy toe dance
This
bullshit.
tippy toe dancing bitch. What is she doing?
Is the only time she utilizes her alien flying powers. Every time the Star Killer alien Terminator is around, she just stands in the corner and screams.
Yep.
Like utterly useless.
Yep. What purpose?
But meanwhile,
knows?
the cat is out here doing front flips and
Just straight up ninja moves.
yeah, just like absolutely bonkers shit. Now, why they go to the restaurant at the end?
Wisely they go.
Why that I don't know. Also, it was very obviously like.
Well, she says she knows where it's going to be. They have space hunches, and then
they do have space hunches.
they have space hunches.
But I mean, it feels like the alien showed up there because they were there because it's been chasing them. Also, the restaurant is just set in like it's just in like a parking garage. It's in like a windowless concrete room that just has some tables set up with tablecloths on them. I didn't even know it was supposed to be a restaurant at first.
Yeah, like if I was going on a date and like a cute guy took me there, like that'd be the last date.
It is a windowless concrete room.
Yeah, like what is?
But there is
what?
in one corner there is a counter with a cash register on it,
and one orange Fanta vending machine.
And one it was a Schweppes vending machine. One and in the corner there's a Schweppes vending machine.
Well, the thing is,
Couldn't
this
even
movie
afford
very
Fanta.
clearly, goes, oh, hey, we have one location. Let's go to the next location. Let's go to the next location. Like, the thing that mattered for them, I think, at this point was getting to the next location so they could do cool effects there.
Would you
Yes.
say that they swept it under the rug?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's 100%
Yes.
what they did.
They didn't really need a reason, because the reason was they had already built the miniatures.
Yes.
So,
Well, it's like, so we need to have this scene. The Star Killer alien shows up as like a combination between the Thing and the Blob and goops all over the place. And they're like, well, we can't find a restaurant where they'll let us do that. So we got this parking garage. So let's just set up some tables and a Schweppes vending machine. And there you go. You have yourself a restaurant.
Don't you hate it when you just goop everywhere in a fucking parking garage restaurant? It's just the worst.
That's what they do. That's the whole climax of the movie.
It's awesome.
Is just gooping all over this garage.
Yep.
Goop on your garage.
Here, my garage. they
my
goop.
favorite 3-6 Mafia song, Goop on Your Garage.
Goop on your garage.
What's the Lil Ugly Mane song? Bitch, I'm lugubrious. Bitch, I'm lugubrious.
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 Well, I love the final monster because it gains a face.
Well, before it even gains a face. Well, first off, it has the other guy's face. It has the
It has the Terminator. It has the
end
Terminator
of Wisely,
cop's
who
face.
was the detective who gets
Turned
pod
into
people
Terminator cop.
into a Terminator. He becomes a spider monster.
A spider goop monster.
Okay, let's start from the top. Let's start from the very top. We have chili. All right.
Yeah, we have some
Chili.
We have some chili. We have
Chili
some Hormel with
inflates
beans.
a homeless man, and then the homeless man flies through a window and explodes into a mushroom flesh monster. The mushroom flesh monster becomes just a straight up monster thing room, that then becomes several agents. The several agents are forgotten about, and it becomes one agent who becomes a Terminator.
Yes.
The Terminator then gets all damaged in a firefight with literal fire.
A literal
and,
fight.
and becomes a goo monster again to become a spider goo monster to then become a giant
claymation puppet.
Metroid boss fight. Briados again, because like it's got like flesh bits opening up with tons of eyes in there. It was really fucking cool.
And he still has the cop's face for a little bit, and then he does it.
And then it turns
It's
into just like a
awesome.
big paper mache googly eye head with like a big Demogorgon mouth.
It's great. I finally figured it out. It's not a Briados. It's the fucking Winter Lanterns, I think they're called in Bloodborne. What are they called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Winter Lanterns, the ones with like the big
Their head is
brain
just a
heads.
giant
It's just
cauliflower of eyes.
Yeah.
It's that. Like, God, I love that design too. It's so spooky. But yeah, it's that. It looks like a Winter Lantern.
Yeah, I would describe the final monster, for using Bloodborne analogies, more as the One Reborn.
Oh, I mean, no. That one is definitely more like the One Reborn, but like the mushroom version. That looks like a Winter Lantern.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Bloodborne's an imperfect analogy, but
It's the best we've got.
I would just say the Thing, because that's really what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's just a big, writhing mass of flesh and tentacles.
Yeah. But like the thing is like really chaotic.
But like at the
Bloodborne has some,
end,
like,
at the
intent.
end, it really turns into like the Blob. They do a lot of the same kind of practical effects that they do.
A film I've
in,
never
like,
seen.
Oh man, it's incredible.
Either one.
We're definitely gonna
both of them.
We're definitely gonna do the '80s one at some point. They like climb to the roof of the restaurant, and there's this really dope shot of like the walls all around, like the goo like crawling up it, but what I'm assuming they did is they built the restaurant as like a miniature, and they turned it upside down and then like dripped some goo down.
Oh yeah.
And then
'Cause it looks so good.
inverted the shot, because like, yeah, the goo is like dripping up the walls.
It looks very cool.
Yeah.
Like the goo is very tactile.
Yeah, it's nasty.
feels alive.
It's
Yeah.
very fleshy and gross, which is then, kind of deflated is maybe the wrong word, because it's the hardest I laughed in the movie. But when they defeat the goop monster, the cat just kind of like picks up the
Octagon.
the octagon in its mouth and just kind of like just like jumps directly, just sort of like flies in a straight line into
to defeat it, yeah.
the monster's mouth, and gets inside it, and it just starts glowing and then explodes.
You know what it reminded me
It's
of?
hilarious.
It was like an R-rated version of hot Rodimus Prime getting inside of like Orson Welles' Unicron in the 1986 Transformers movie.
Like
when the cat flies into the center of it and starts glowing, like I could hear like Stan Bush's like, "You got the touch, you got the power." Yeah, like you could hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like instead of like weird mechanical like bits voiced by Orson Welles, it's like a flesh pit. It's awesome. This is a masterpiece, man. Just like the 1986 Transformers movie is a fucking masterpiece.
It blows up into a shitload of glitter.
Yes. Well, it kind of
freezes.
Like, it kind of like calcifies, sort of, and then explodes. The explodey part is very long. Like it just like goes on and on of just like an explosion happening. It's like, okay, yep, it exploded, and then just like. It's raining down as like glittery ash, and the lady
alien... It looks like the Spice Melange in the new Dune movie.
The lady alien is like dancing around and twirling in it like a winter wonderland. It's like, yay, the ashes of my mortal enemy. Tee-hee. And then she just kind of dissolves into stars,
moonwalks into space,
and just like is just sort of like airwalking off into the stars, and Wisely is just like standing there with his hands on his hips, smiling ruefully and shaking his head, you know, and that's how the fucking movie ends, baby.
Yeah.
Just as incomprehensibly as it began.
Just incredible. You know, this movie is under an hour and a half, and it, once again, much like Riccio and Seventh Curse, it knows how to get in, do its thing, and get out, you know?
Except this time, there's no strange shot of Wisely partying with the actual author of the Wisely novels that it freeze frames on, unfortunately. He absolutely should have done that again. That would have been a really funny callback.
Yeah, like he's almost like the Stan Lee of these movies now.
He should be, yeah.
Yeah, and I was really hoping to see him again in some capacity, but, you know.
Yeah, let's, it's time for a Wisely renaissance. It's time to bring back Wisely.
Well, there are several more Wisely movies, just not directed
just
by
not
this
by
guy.
Ngai Choi Lam.
Yeah,
maybe we should delve into those a little bit at some point.
I'd be down.
Because now we're invested in Wisely.
Yeah, I've seen two at this point. Might as well keep that train
Might as
rolling.
well.
Be
I will
well-versed
say,
on Wisely.
If you're interested in watching this film, unfortunately, there is no U.S. release.
Very hard to get
You'll
a hold of.
have to, probably get an imported DVD from Hong Kong or find it by other means, let's say. I really, really hope this gets a proper Blu-ray release one of these days, along with The Seventh Curse, because both are masterpieces of...
I mean, these movies are, like, ripe for like Vinegar Syndrome.
Or like Scream Factory or Arrow. One of those like boutique sort of Severin distributors just needs to pick this up and release it, because more people should see this film. It's something special.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me that like of the three of these that we've seen, that like Riccio is like the one that is like most famous.
It's the most grounded of the three.
It is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a grounded movie at all, but like it is definitely the most grounded. But it's like, it's wild that movie has the kind of like cult following that it does, and nobody was ever like, let's see what else this dude has done.
Yeah,
because like, man, just based off of
Curse, I don't have like the actual metrics out here, but like with personal experience, like my friends, like a good number of my peers are still familiar with Seventh Curse and Riccio, but none of them had heard of this one. Like when I brought it up, I was like, oh shit, yeah, like he did it the same year as Riccio, and they're like, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and this dude has done like other similar kind of movies. I saw some screenshots from one he did called The Peacock King that looks fucking insane. Ooh. And Ngai Choi Lam is fucking I don't even know what like the proper analog is, but like he's got some fucking bonkers movies.
Yeah, dude. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan
Absolutely.
of his work.
Yeah, 3 for 3 in my book.
Yeah, same.
Are y'all ready to rate the cat?
I think Ben Ben is foreshadowed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Riccio is one of my favorite films of all time, and Seventh Curse has quickly become one of my favorite films of all time, and this holds up to him.
On my head.
No complaints. This movie's awesome. It's a little slow to get started, but I don't even mind that considering it's under an hour and a half, and the places it goes are so incredible. There's so many great moments and set pieces and one-liners even. We forgot to mention, like, when he's at the gun dealer's place, the alien Terminator like shoves a grenade into some dude's mouth and is like, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye.
I love it too because he says bye bye, but like the subtitle says goodbye.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie is so worthy of more people checking it out. It should be a cult classic, much like Seventh Curse. This is an easy 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. I could not agree more. If I had to find another comparison for this film, I forgot to mention, it would be another tonally jarring between tee-hee and ultra-violence film involving a beautiful cat, and that's Hausu. I got some Hausu vibes.
True.
Yeah, and I think unlike my first viewing of Hausu, which is recorded in an episode, I've come a long way since then. Largely, once again, thanks to Ben. So Ben,
I've broken you.
You have broken me. You've broken me in, and now I am trying to find a way to not make this metaphor sound incredibly gay. But that's fine. Maybe I should just own it. You've broken me in, and now my
all it took was one viewing of The Greasy Strangler.
That was the tipping point.
Yes.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Come a long way. All that to say, 5 out of 5.
Well, while I don't think I like this film quite as much as The Seventh Curse.
Same.
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be the stinker that keeps this from a golden pod. So I will also give it a 5 out of 5. I thought this was a delight, and I loved the kitty cat. I hope that the production of this film wasn't too rough on that cat, and that it was well compensated with some treats and some tuna fish.
Yeah, some fancy salmon.
Feast.
Yeah, that is that cat participated in one of the all-time on-screen fight scenes between a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's a golden pod then, a unanimous 5 out of 5. Ngai Choi Lam is he
3 for 3.
Is he our first director to have two
Might
perfect
be, yeah.
2 golden pods?
Wait, are they?
I think so.
Did all 3? Oh, right, because we didn't do
We
Ricky.
didn't do
yet.
Riccio
didn't do
for the
Riccio.
podcast.
But
we talked
rating.
about
It is a 5 though,
Riccio,
right? Like, I mean, we don't do an episode. We don't necessarily do an entire episode on something to give it a pod, right? Like, I mean, it's Riccio's a 5. It's a golden pod.
It's not an official golden pod,
But it's a golden fucking
it
pod.
It has the seal of approval.
And frankly,
for sure.
too, like I don't see any reason why we couldn't like do Riccio at some point on the podcast.
See,
I mean, I feel like we already talked about it.
Enough, yeah. We
Yeah.
wouldn't really
On-
need to,
yeah.
but like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Maybe
it's a
some-
horror movie. Like,
Maybe someday we'll bring it back around. I mean, it's certainly gory enough to qualify for the podcast. But
so
anyway,
yeah, my eyes, he's 3 for 3.
all right. Well, the cat is a golden pod. Check it
That's-
out if you can get a hold of it. It's
Yeah.
not particularly easy.
No, it's
the
not.
cat's out of the bag. This is a great movie.
Masterpiece.
Next week is a Patreon pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that next week. What did Sarah choose for us?
Sarah was interested in covering another Argento film.
Yes.
This one is Phenomena.
Phenomena I have never seen. I'm excited about this one.
I've been talking to her. Hopefully she will be on next episode to talk about it with us. She's a big fan of the movie and a big fan of Giallo.
Recording that in like what, 4 days? So that's about enough time for me to forget
Soon
that I already
enough.
made that Muppet joke. So I'll probably make it again next
All right.
week. And think of doing it for the first time.
All right.
Sponsor?
Yes, sponsor.
Ring that ding-a-ling. It's a sponsor shelf. coming at you live. Ooh, from the past. All right, here we go. This week is brought to you. I hate 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 you so much. Why would you ruin this perfect night with that? Why would you do that?
What's the sponsor, Cleve?
I won't say it. I won't do it. I'm not saying the sponsor. You can't.
You will.
How dare you?
We have to get paid. They paid us. The sponsor paid us for this, Cleveland. Who's the sponsor?
It's a piece of paper that just has the word Tulpa written on it. I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad. Why would you make this such a poorly written podcast episode? How could you do this? Sponsor shelf.
I didn't do anything, Cleve. The sponsor.
Son of a bitch. I'm so mad.
Tulpa paid us.
All right, let's wrap up this episode so I can start trashing your apartment like Orson Welles and Citizen Kane. All right, oh my god, I'm about to start just like flipping tables. Fucking empty man. God damn it. It's a bad movie. See that? It's a bad movie.
Tulpa.
Oh, fuck. It's got some cool shots. But
has long been renowned for its excellence. There is a California Tulpa. Inspired by that same French excellence. All right.
It's fermented in the bottle, and when blown,
it's vintage dated. Toot, toot. And when you toot on the bottle, it summons the empty man. All right. That'll do it for us this week. If you like the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify and wherever else you can rate and review. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/podpeoplepod. If you join the honorary Podboy tier, the $10 tier, you can pick films for us to review on the podcast. That's what our next episode is going to be Sarah's pick. Because Sarah is one of our honorary pod boys, and so is Sam Simon, and we love them, and we thank them. You can follow us on Twitter at PodPeoplePod and at letterboxd.com/PodPeoplePod, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show, with our average ratings and links to those reviews, and you can check out our list of golden pods there as well, of which the cat is just the latest entry. I'm on Twitter at SomeSpookySnake.
I'm on Twitter at Mr. Sheets.
And I'm occasionally tweeting for Light Arc Studios. We put out progress on It Stares Back, that spooky strategy game. But you can also find my work on dreadxp.com. Just look at all the cool games that we're working on, and I'm working on them in some capacity, whether it's doing some cool covers or concept art or whatever cool shit they got me doing, or head QAing and playing the games, and I'm just having a great time, man. Life is really good right now. Well, we just put out Sucker for Love. It's an absolute banger. People are loving it. Today's the second day it's been out. It already has 200 reviews on Steam.
When we're recording this, when this episode comes out, it's already been out for like
it'll have 500.
It'll be out for like 2.5 weeks. Yeah, it's going to be way up there by then. You'll probably have already seen it, heard about it. It's fucking great. Go get Who Want They Cthulhu? Because it's Cthulhu, and yeah, you get it. I mean, the most rated review on it is that Cthulhu got me acting on Wise. It's pretty good. Yeah, that is definitely it for me.
Well, with that in mind, join us next week. And until then, there's only one word on my mind: meow.
Bye bye.
Meow.
Motherfucker, Lil Ugly, man, 2012, you heard me? Coming at this bitch. Fuck all these motherfucker haters, you hear me? That's how we doing it, man. Yeah, motherfucker. That's how motherfucker doing it in this bitch. I'm a roast and lugubrious. I'ma let the Uzi spit. Turn his face into gooey shit. Bitch, I'm a roast and lugubrious. I'ma let the Uzi spit. Turn his face into gooey shit. Bitch, I'm a roast and lugubrious. I'ma let the Uzi spit. Turn his face into gooey shit. Bitch, I'm a roast and lugubrious. I'ma let the Uzi spit. Turn his face into gooey shit. Bitch, I'm the lubricants. My trap game is stupidest. You acting like I'm doing this, I've been 6 extra uterus. I equate your uselessness to bitches that are bootyless. Your YouTube page is viewerless and humorous. Flyer than a stewardess. You pussy smell like tuna fish. You wanna kill me, try and prove it, but I bet you can't maneuver it. Cramming the Ruger and cocking it back. Psycho mentality, killing attack. Sipping on dollars and counting a stack. Hack on my salary, nothing